Hey, so I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor of today's episode, which is Jubilance. Now, you know Jubilance because I've been promoting them on the show for a couple years now, and they've been on the podcast to talk about exactly how it works. I cannot recommend it enough. I've been using it for literally the past 4 years now, and I've seen a significant improvement in my PMS each month. And by improvement, I mean it's literally gone. Like, I do not struggle with PMS anymore because I'm taking Jubilance daily. It's the leading PMS supplement on the market today, and it contains a single active ingredient, thermally stabilized oxaloacetate, also known as OAA. And it's paired with vitamin C to ensure maximum bioavailability. And just icing on the cake, in peer-reviewed clinical trials by the National Institutes of Health, it showed that Jubilance's patent OAA and vitamin C formula showed significant results in relieving PMS mood swings. And I myself can attest to that. In just 1 month of using Jubilance, the participants in the clinical trial showed significant improvements. 54% improvements in PMS-related gloominess, 51% improvement in PMS-related anxiety, 35% improvement in PMS-related stress, and 18% improvement in PMS-related irritability. Listen, it's not rocket science. If you want to get rid of PMS for good, you have to visit Jubilance.com and schedule to have Jubilance delivered monthly to your door. Plus, because they are so awesome, they gave us a discount code. So if you use code Tampon at checkout, you will get 10% off your order. Listen, you got to get it, and you got to thank me afterwards. It has radically changed the game in terms of how I deal with my PMS. So don't waste your time. Go to Jubilance.com, subscribe for your monthly deliveries of Jubilance, use code Tampon at checkout, get 10% off your order. And if you haven't already, check out our episode with Alan Cash, the leading scientist behind Jubilance, for more information, and click the link in the description below to order today. Thank you, Jubilance, again for sponsoring the podcast. And now, here is the episode. Hi, welcome to Tampon Talk with Mary. Welcome to the show that only airs once a month. Quick story. So I was trying to think of which quick story to share because a lot has happened since the last time I've been able to talk about it on the podcast. But the one that first came to my head was I was recently on a very important movie for Steven Spielberg. And I had gotten my period during the duration of this shoot, but I was like, I know that I'm messy. I'm going to pad it up. It's going to be fine. So I'm in period underwear. I'm in a Diva cup, and I'm like, this has got to be enough coverage. And big mistake. So I am in a period costume. Okay. And film, when you're making films, like, they're very long days. It's a lot of kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Not a lot of breaks. You kind of get one in the middle and one at the end of the day, if you're lucky. And I was doing the scene, and I'm in a period costume. So it's a double entendre in a sec. So it's a 1950s dress. So it's the dress, the petticoat, the under garters, the pantyhose, my like short Spanx, and then my period underwear. So I'm thinking, well, let me do the Diva Cup because that's 12 hours. That should be enough time for me to, once the 12 hours are up, I can, take a break. I can go, we've got to have a break after 12 hours. Surely we don't. My Diva Cup fills up like to the brim, and it starts leaking. I know you're like, wait, your Diva Cup? Yes, it did. So it's leaking. So I go, oh, okay, it's fine. It's going into my period underwear. My period underwear is really wonderful. Thanks. They rock. They're kind of holding it there, but it's like really tight on my coocher. So the blood is like, from the pie, my blood can sometimes like clump up, like into chunks. And I had eventually, since, we're still rolling, we're still doing stuff, haven't gone to the bathroom, a clump popped out of my little coochie lips outside of the cup, outside of the period panties, did not soak through, and it shot out the side of the underwear into my Spanx, which then in turn it sat there for a couple hours because, again, I still couldn't leave, and it soaked through to the costume. And I was like, fuck? And then it got to a point where it was just getting like really bad. And I was off screen. So they were shooting stuff on the other side, but they still wanted me to stay in the room. And I was like, I need to deal with this before it gets really bad. And I'm talking to the other girls about it, and they're like, oh my God, like if you need to go, like go, just do it. And there's a lot of pressure, it's Steven Spielberg. So I am looking for like the first AD to be like, can I just dip for a second? Like I'm just go to the bathroom, just come back. Can't find them. They're busy. They're running off. I'm trying to be like, where's a crew person? Look, can't find one. One of the makeup girls is like off to the side, and she's kind of like on her phone or like watching stuff. I know that she's important. So I go to her and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I need, I'm trying to like see if I can go in and out real quick. I just need, I just don't have my tampons with me or anything. And she was like, so, stop, say less. So she was like, she took my hand and she was like, we gotta get you a tampon. I think I've got one. Hold on, let me go get it. And then I was like, oh, I'm just worried about the scene stuff. She's like, no, it's not important. This is not important. You're important. I was like, oh my gosh. So we're running off, and like, she pulls me back to her little like makeup table, and she's like, here, I got a tampon. Just, I got you. Just go in there, cover you. Just switch it out. It'll be fine. And I was like, fantastic. Thanks so much. I am wearing a Diva cup. So now it's trying to strategically remove the Diva cup with like all of this very important stuff on me without spilling anything. I don't know how I did it. I kind of like took the petticoat and the dress and everything, and I really hiked it over my shoulders I was like, I need like clear space. And then the little things I just shot on the floor, like the little period garters, which I did bleed through. And I was like, oh, fuck. So then I was like, no problem, to deal with later. Get it all out, pull out the Diva cup, dump it out. I somehow am able to actually go to the sink and wash it out without anybody coming in. And then once I finally get it washed and I go back in the stall, someone came in, and I was like, oh my God. So I was able to rinse out the Diva cup, and I was like, I'm just gonna hide it in my little like shoe bag that I'm keeping my costume shoes in that I have with me on set in there until I can move it. So I was able to get everything on. It was good to go. I was like, girl, homegirl, thank you so much. Like she was like, no, like you're a person and you need to be treated like a person, like that you're top priority. So I love sometimes the authentic sisterhood that the period brings. And then later in the day, when I was like, oh fuck, like I mean, and it got really bad, like it had bled through pretty significantly into this period costume, and I was like, oh shit. So get to the end of the day. It's a very long day. It's probably 16-hour, 17-hour day, and I just need to get everything off. I'm like, let me be the last person to leave. So I go, I'm taking everything off. I see how bloody it is. And I get in my normal clothes. I hang everything up nice on hangers. When you're on sets, it's really nice to just put things back on the hanger, make it easy so they can see that they've got everything, and then they'll throw it in their pile. Just make it easy for the costume people because they go through way too much. So I was like, let me do that. Wait till everybody leaves the bathrooms. And like we're in like a locker room kind of areas which everybody's changing in. So everybody leaves. I listen for it, make sure everybody left, hang up all my stuff, put on all my clothes. And then I go to the sink and I start using like cold water to try to get as much blood out as I can. I do a pretty damn good job. Like it's, I mean, it's almost totally out, I have to say. But the problem is now it's wet and I have to return it, and it's wet in the crotch area, and I was like, there is no way I can like not say something. So I get to the point where I've soaked out a lot of the red, but there's still kind of like a rim from where the stain was, but it's white in the middle and it's wet, like just in that corner. So I'm drying it. I have it like under the dryer. I'm just really trying. And I was like, I hope I'm not like fucking up this period piece. Like this is just so bad. I was like, I just want to I'll just get the blood out and I'll explain it to them. So then normally there was like a long line. Like normally there's quite a bit of a long line to like hand your costume back in if you're, doing background, which, on this day I was. And, everybody had left, luckily. So it was just me that came out. And I was like, please let it be a woman. Please let it be someone, or not just a woman, just someone with a vagina. Please let it be someone with a vagina that understands. And I walk up and it is, and I go, listen, there's no other way to say this. I am so sorry. I had my period and I, got it in the costume, but I rinsed a lot of it out, and like that's why it's a little bit wet. I just wanted to let you know, and I feel so terrible about it. And she was like, don't even worry about it. we're just going to throw it in the washer. It's going to be totally fine. Don't worry about it. I was like, I literally like started choking up. I was like, thank you so much. Like, she was like, no, don't worry about it. Like, totally fine. So shout out to the costume people and the makeup people on this Spielberg film I did. They were awesome. That was so terrifying. It's the thing that you hope will never happen, and it did. And it's just, everybody was so nice about it. Yeah, so it was very stressful. But that's my quick story. I'm so excited for the guests that we brought onto this episode. They are bomb. We had a really fun chat that I'm so excited to share with you. We brought on Susana Craig. She's from Pandia Health. Really, like, I don't want to be like, she's the definition of girl boss, but like is, So she is works in the operation development, and she like is doing a lot of the behind the scenes work in Pandia Health. She talks to us a lot about that. Really cool lady. And she's an accomplished business development leader who's worked more than 25 years in experience driving revenue through building and maintaining client relationships. So she's worked for a bunch of cool companies like Go Mobile and Google, and she talks about them in the episode. But really, really awesome lady. So we had the pleasure of interviewing her, and that is what you are going to hear now. So hope you enjoy it. And if you are interested in the service that she works for, Pandia Health, and getting free, easy, hassle-free birth control, the link is in the episode below. And we give some information in the episode about how to set up your account. And if you use code Tampon, which is also in the description below, you get $5 off your order. They are cool. So go ahead and check that out. And without further ado, here is our interview with Susana Craig. Well, just sort of jumping right in here, let me just say welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us on Tampon Talk. I just wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about, we've already met, but for this portion where we bring in the third party into the room, if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for Pandia Health.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to participate. My name is Susana Craig, and I am the Chief Operating Officer at Pandia Health, a company that delivers birth control and makes online consultations accessible to all. And let's see, a little bit about me. Well, like I mentioned earlier, I'm originally from high tech, and then there comes a time in your life when you're looking for a company or a mission, that really speaks to you. And for me, 5 years ago, I felt as though women were losing rights for their reproductive health. And, come to find out, we still are. And I wanted to be involved in something that would protect my daughters and other women's rights for reproductive health and just reproductive justice in general. And Pandia Health was just that, we're just a mission-driven company where we want to make birth control accessible to all. And we also want to provide great care. And so I am with Pandia Health because of that, because it fit all the needs. And I also wanted to support a strong female founder, which Dr. Sophia Yan is. So
yeah, because that's what I really loved when I was sort of digging around on this topic, because I think on the podcast overall, I've talked so I've had some people who have just shared both sides on like how wonderful their birth control option was for them. Some people who sort of either didn't like it, like the homeopathic, and when I was trying to find birth control providers to come on the show, certainly some of the legalities around it is very hard. I've always tried to get an OBGYN or a doctor on the show, and they always have to sort of approve the podcast with their lawyers and things. And I was always having such difficulty around it. And then finding you guys, I was like, this is awesome, because it's was started by a doctor. And sort of vetting guests for listeners is that was something that was really great and reassuring about it, is that this is obviously, not some sort of like capitalist big business. It's being run by like someone who really cares, and it's backed by science. And I think that that's really awesome.
It is. People will say, well, what about, these other companies? We're the only female founded doctor-led company in the delivery space for birth control. And really what that means is that although we are definitely going to show profits for our investors, our highest priority is her health. And so we will never use any type of pseudo AI. You'll go into some other sites and they'll start asking you like, oh, what's your favorite birth control? Well, I don't know. That's why I'm trying to talk to you. My friend may use this, but it may not be the right thing, right? And then the other thing, the reason why we say expert care by expert doctors is because we look at the long-term health of a patient. I'm not a doctor, but what our doctors and what Dr. Yan has always taught me is that we're not going to make, and the doctors are never going to write a prescription based on how much money we're going to make off of that. We're always going to look at her health and how healthy she's going to be. And so we will always look at, her ethnicity, we'll look at her age and her BMI to make sure what's the best medicine for you.
I love that. Yeah, because I think that there's, I think it's a very politicized market, but I think it's also for people who either are just totally against it, throw out a lot of like negative propaganda. And I think that puts women in the mindset of it's all bad, or I'm never going to find something that's right for me. And I like that they're, especially y'all are really focusing on the specificity of each person and like, the care for each person. Like exactly what you said, it's hard to find, and it's hard to find people within this specific industry that it's being run by women, which, you guys are the only ones. So.
We're the only ones. Yeah. Well, what I think it is that I love the fact that as people, we have a choice, right? You want to take birth control, great. You don't want to take birth control, that's good for you. Not for me, but good for you, right?
Sure.
But we have the choice. That's the key thing. Yeah. And when our choice is taken away, then we have to be very worried about that. And that's something where I'm involved in like the reproductive justice, and that we have to make sure that we keep all these choices, so that if you want to use birth control, more power to you. If you don't, more power to you. Do what's best for you. But we're all about education as well. There's a lot of these myths and misconceptions about birth control that we want to put it out there. And there's still a stigma about birth control, as if like as a woman, I take birth control, that must mean that I like to sleep around. That's one of the reasons why I want it. Birth control is a hormonal medication that helps you with many things. And that's one of the areas where we're really working hard, is to normalize a medication where you don't have to be embarrassed to get it, and to worry that perhaps your parents or your significant other might find out that you're taking it, which we still see to this day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All good stuff. I certainly know we can go down the rabbit hole of, the power once women are empowered and educated, how that like negatively affects people who don't want them to be that way, as I'm sure we agree. But I wanted to ask, as part of the show's makeup is that every time we bring on a guest, I invite my guests to share a tampon terror story, which is just any embarrassing period story you might have. Could be now listen, it could be a tampon terror, could be a diva cup dilemma, could be a pad problem, could be a disc disarray.
Yes.
Do you have any story you'd like to share?
I would be surprised if a woman doesn't have a tampon terror story or a period story, right? It just is, But I was thinking about two, and I was like, oh, which one should I would share? One from college, or one as a young young executive. So I think the young executive was like the most terrorizing for me. I had a really big meeting, and I was going in with one of my managers for this customer meeting, and I was really excited. And I ran a feminine hygiene like tampons, and so I ran into the bathroom, and I used what most women use in this situation. They didn't have any pads or any tampons in this bathroom, because I rolled up some toilet paper. And I thought, okay, it's pretty cool. I'm going to be okay for this trip. For this meeting, it's going to be all right. It's going to be cool. And as I was, I was standing, so everything was all right as I was giving the presentation. But when I sat down, get that feeling when you sit down and you're like, something's gone wrong. It's not going to be pretty. And I'm just sitting there and just talking, and I'm just thinking, please just focus on the meeting right now. And after it's over, you can decide. And so I kind of like looked to the bottom of the seat. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it was like terror. It was just horrible. It was just so bad. And then it was a cloth seat on top of that. And so I just sat there, and my manager's like, well, he thanked everyone, and everybody's getting relief. I'm like, I just need to check a few things out. Can you give me a minute while everybody was walking out of the conference room, right? I don't know what to do, honestly. So there was nothing I could do. So I just got up and I hid the chair. That's so funny. I took my suit jacket and I wrapped it around my waist. And I walked out, and it was a bank type of business. And I walked out, and he's like, "Okay, that's strange." I'm like, "Don't ask. I just need to go home." But that was like the most horrifying time that I can remember. Not having a tampon or a pad, and having to use toilet paper, which I know many women have been forced to do one time or the other, and not being as secure as you think it's going to be, and having that horrific accident. So that's my tampon terror.
Oof.
Even now, I'm still blushing because I was like, how do I hide this chair? Who do I blame in this meeting? Because I'm like, they're not going to be able. So I'm like literally moving chairs.
Right? Like I was there with you, and I've definitely done that exact thing. I had never had the courage to to hide the chair. Very strategic, I think.
Yeah, well, I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, no, listen, when you're in the weeds, you got to do what you got to do. Every woman knows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Even now my face is blushing because it almost looks like I'm reliving it. But you talk to others about their situation, and they're like, "Oh no, I have a better one to beat that one." And it's like,
yeah,
we all go through it.
It becomes like this campfire story session where all these like women enter the room, and they're like, "I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better." Yeah. But so sort of getting along here, I would we've been talking about so Pandia Health is women owned, clearly women operated, which is fantastic. I wanted to see if you could tell us, we've sort of gotten the background about who's behind the service, but I wanted to see if you could tell us a little bit about how it works. Kind of just we start from, I've discovered the service is available, now how do I have access to the service?
Sure. Well, we'd like to say that as long as you have a computer and internet access, that all you do is you log in, you create an account, and you're going to answer a lot of the questions that you would answer when you go and see your doctor. Your age, your weight, we figure out your BMI, any allergies that you may have, and we just take you through a series of questions. It should take you about 5 to 7 minutes to complete. Then after that, you submit your patient profile, and we have our patient care advisors that look through the profile, make sure everything's there. Like, just as an example, let's say that you forgot to put your blood pressure. We would go back, or your blood pressure we feel is not correct. So we'll send you an email back, and we'll say, can you please give us your blood pressure reading again? Once all that's said, and you've uploaded your ID, government ID, a selfie, so that's doctor who's who he or she is writing the prescription for. It usually takes about tops 24 hours for the doctor to write a script, the prescription. It's usually faster, but we like to say 24 hours. And then after that, we give you the option, do you need your prescription right away? And if you do, the doctor will send one refill or one script to your local pharmacy, and then we'll just deliver the rest for you, so you don't have to go to the pharmacy. And it happens sometimes, when, we have all had that pill anxiety, like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of my pills. Yeah. I need it now. And other medication you could usually wait for, but birth control, you really don't want to. So we are one of the few companies that does that, because we understand that pill anxiety. So we'll send one pack if you want. Otherwise, if you can wait 4 to 5 days, it depends now, with United States Postal Office running a little late, up to 7 days for us to get your medication to you. We make our prices affordable, and we accept most insurances. So it's pretty easy. It's set it and forget it, right? You create your account, You tell us, how frequently you want your medication or how frequently your insurance company allows us to ship it, and we just ship until you tell us stop.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really easy. It's really easy. And then if you have any questions, like one of the biggest things that we try to talk to our clients about is this. If for whatever reason a medication is not working out for you, I think there's over 60 different classes of birth control out there and over 200 and something generics. You need to advocate for yourself and talk to us and let us know, hey, you know what? Maybe this birth control is not working for me. Can tell us what you're experiencing. And it's not an additional charge. I mean, the doctors are available to help you for 1 year. Your script is good for 1 year. And the doctors will write a new prescription for another medication that may work better for you.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that it's like it's a subscription-based model, but it goes beyond that. Like, I think it's very hard to even just people kind of doing a lot of like teletherapy, is that it's very hard just to find something like that where a doctor's able to just so much ease be able to switch your prescription or be so like readily available. So I love that about the service.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, I was just thinking about when I was going through this way back in the day, and if I had some issues with my birth control, I'd have to make an appointment with the doctor or call the phone, talk to the nurse. The nurse would say they would get back to me sometime, and sometimes it'll be right away, sometimes a few days later. And then inevitably the doctor would be like, I need to see you to talk to you. So now all of a sudden I have to take off work or school at the time. I have to go there. And then she'll prescribe something else, ask me to try for 90 days. And if I'm still having that issue, I have to go to the doctors. And again, here, you tell us, you could either tell us by text, you could tell us by live chat, or you can call us, and we immediately communicate with the doctor. We document like what issues you may be having, and you'll have a new prescription right away.
Wow.
So you don't have to take the time off. You don't have to go to the pharmacy to get the medication, unless of course you need it right away, within a day. Then, we'll send one local, but it's such a time saver. And at times, when you tell people like, look, you're not going to have to make a doctor's appointment, so you don't have to take off from work, and you're not going to have to go to the pharmacy. Some people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. But when you're a student or a mom or just doing everything else, just making the time to go to the pharmacy or to go to the doctor, it takes about a 2-hour time frame from your schedule. It really does impact you.
It's a lot.
And we saw that, oh my gosh, during the pandemic, it was crazy because, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but in the very beginning of it, we had college students who all of a sudden their campus health closed and there was no way that they could get their fills, right? And then in the very beginning, birth control consultations were considered they were not considered as critical, right? Yeah. And so they were not taking any of those visits. And so we were really servicing a lot of college students with that need because they needed birth control. They couldn't talk to anyone at the university. And then they also wanted privacy, right? So now all of a sudden we're sending them to their house and we need to keep it private. And that's the other thing, it's a stigma of birth control, even when, you're in a woke type of family. It's like, why are you taking birth control? It's still an issue.
Yeah, I think we do have like a lot of work to do on that front. Especially like, I feel like I've interacted with a lot of women that come from, I mean, I grew up in a religious home, so I already have coming from that this is like the worst thing in the world. And I think that trying to look at it beyond exactly what you said earlier, where it's birth control, taking it for like a myriad of things. Like it's this attitude of like, I'm just taking it to sleep around is so like not what it is for most people.
I know. Well, I also grew up in a very Catholic based background, and
me too.
Yeah,
that's a specific one.
Yeah. So my mom is very Catholic. Oh my gosh, she's just a devout Catholic, and because of her, she's like, hey, can you help me teach catechism? I'm like, sure, not a problem. No worries. So helping my mom with catechism. Anyway, somebody found out the company that I worked at, and now you have to understand that I'm Hispanic, I'm a Latina, and my mom helped the church establish the Hispanic congregation from I think it was like 10 people to over 2,000 people now, right? So
Oh,
she's very
wow.
active, and she just has a heart for service and all of that. And so thankfully, the priests and the people at the church knew my mom, and they were concerned that I was I was teaching first graders, that I would be talking to them about birth control.
Oh gosh.
And so my mom was livid, and we would kind of realize, because we were teaching, all of a sudden people started to come and attend our classes. So I was like, oh, I wonder, why they're doing that. But I didn't really care, because, I'm used to giving presentations for anybody anyway. We were just having fun with the kids.
Yeah.
But then it came out that somebody officially complained, and they had to talk to you about not mentioning anything about birth control. And I was like, yeah, of course. But you know what? That was the best thing that could have happened, because then everybody found out where I worked. And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, all these women, like on the playground, would be like, hey, I know you're working. I was wondering if you could help me, because I have 3 kids, and I just, my husband refuses to wear a condom. Can you please, how can I get it? I'm like, I felt like I was peddling drugs. I'm like, yeah, here's my card. You go here, and then this is a Spanish number. You can call them. They'll help you, right? Because women are, especially in, people of color, Latinas, like we, we're working so hard. We have so many kids, and we love the ones that we have. We just can't do with anymore.
Yeah.
And as we should be able to decide, and we should be able to family plan. And then when you tell them, by the way, you don't even have to have your period if you don't want. And here's some studies, and here's, some information. So, you have the option there as well.
Yeah.
And for people like myself, when I put myself through school, and you can save some money on, with not having to buy, tampons and pads and everything else that goes to it. When you think of all the clothes that you're in, I would have quickly skipped my period without hesitation. But that's something I just learned, right? I didn't know. I would have definitely taken advantage. And so when you talk to people about that, and you give them that option, at least that they know that option is there to skip their periods. Although I did learn about, when I was doing some tabletops at colleges, that a lot of women like to free bleed. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
good for you.
I definitely free bleed on accident, but listen, I think that's dope. I'm all about because destigmatizing specifically periods is sort of a challenge in itself. So then we have to get over this hurdle of first periods, then women's health, then like feminism has become more intersectional, but just sort of then getting over that there are people who don't identify as women that have periods and need birth control.
Exactly.
Getting it there, and then
yeah, I mean, there's so many things intertwined into women's reproductive health, right?
Yeah.
And so, but again, there is it's destigmatizing, sorry, the words, it's late, your period as a whole, not to have you feel like it's something dirty or you're unclean during that time. The ability to just not be ridiculed because you're on your period, are like, oh, you're so hormonal. Yeah, actually I am. My body's gone through a tremendous transition. It's like to say, like, oh, you have a cold, I don't like you. No, I'm going through this process, and this is what's happening. And so it's all of that. So I've learned a lot more being part of Pandia Health and talking to women, or just anyone that's having a period, about how they feel, and how to take the power back, and not to feel less than because you're having your period, or if you choose not to have it. So those are all really, I love those conversations, and I find that I'm really happy with the new generation and how they're handling things, and their power that they're taking back.
Oh my gosh. I've definitely said this on the podcast before, because I've brought on like very authentic Gen Zers, but just they are done with all of it. I think because I'm technically Gen Z, but I certainly feel more like a millennial, sort of on that line.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, they don't put up with anything, and I love that.
Yes,
I want to be more of that.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think as deep when I was that age. I really did not. And I am thankful. Like, I have 4 kids in college, and I hear them talk about all these different things. I'm like, oh yeah, right. And I've had to also learn as well, because at times, you're siloed in your thoughts, and you can't be that way. You have to allow for change, because without change, then, why bother?
Yeah.
So to me, this has been great, learning and understanding other people's point of view. Birth control is not for all, but if you want it, it's here, and we want to make it accessible for you for whatever reason. If you do want to have a lot of sex, good for you. If you want to, to help you to regulate your cycle, yay, we got you. If you want to mood out your hormones, we're here too. It doesn't matter to us. You want it, we'll deliver it for you, and we'll make sure that it's safe and confidential.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think I certainly don't want to trump over this amazing, note that you've ended us on, but I wanted to see if you had any final thoughts, and then more importantly, where can we sign up and get us all set up for that?
Wow, let's see. Any final thoughts? Well, let's see.
You landed on a good one. I don't want to
yeah. I'll just leave it at that. And then the other thing too is that to sign up for us, it's so easy. You just go to www.pandiahealth.com and just click on sign up. And we can create a special Tampon P code. So if you use the code Tampon P, you get $5 off of your telemed visit.
We love it.
Yeah. So that's Tampon P. And so we could do that, unless you want it to be Mary, or what do you want it to be? I can create it now.
Tampon? I'm all about it.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll make it Tampon, and forget the T. So if you just use the code Tampon, you will get $5 off your monthly. $5. If you use Tampon, the code Tampon, you will get $5 off your online doctor consultation. And you add that code at the end after you fill all of your information out. So now when you get ready to sign up, if you have any questions, there's a live chat button, and it's an actual people that are there answering your questions. We don't have any type of chat bots or anything like that. We also, if you want, you could text us, or you could call us, or you could email us if you have any questions or concerns. So for best results, it's really good if you have your latest blood pressure reading. We do not ask you to guesstimate your blood pressure reading like other people do, because blood pressure is really important when you're writing a script for birth control. So if you've seen your doctor in the last, I would say 9 months, you can call that doctor's office and just get the blood pressure reading then. Or you could go to your doctor or the pharmacy and get a blood pressure reading there. Or if most people have a machine, I found out, and just take your reading there, but just relax before you take it. Make sure you have your ID. It could be your passport, it could be your license, and also a recent selfie, but please, no glasses or or glamorified, because the doctor wants to see you, right? We need 2 forms of identification. And then if you have insurance, have that handy so you can upload that photo. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. We'd like to say you get in, you click, you answer your questions, you upload your ID, and you pay, and then we get back to you within 24 hours, if not sooner.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And that was Susana. Isn't she the bomb? She is so cool. Well, you heard what she said. If you want to be a part of Pandia Health and you want to get your easy, accessible, hassle-free birth control, click the link in the description of this episode. You can find it below. Get $5 off your order today. If you have any questions for myself or Susana, you can feel free to email me at tampontalkwithmary@gmail.com, and I will forward them on to her. But click the link in the description of the episode below, and also follow the other links that are attached to below so that you can learn some more information and get updates on Pandia Health. But yeah, you listener, we learned that today. What did we learn? What did we learn today? Today we learned that People take birth control for a lot of different reasons. And what is most important is being able to have the freedom of choice. And in the parameters of freedom of choice, that if your choice is birth control, it comes from somewhere that is backed by science, supported by doctors, and supported by women. And that's why I picked Pandia Health to come on and talk about this discussion, because if that is something that you are considering, you only deserve the best and you're picking your options. So we have to learn to be less judgmental. We have to be more accepting. We have to destigmatize a lot of things around reproductive health, and this is one of them. So I am very grateful to Susana for being on the episode. And you, listener, want to know what you think. If you want to email me at tampontalkwithmary@gmail.com, shout us out on your socials. We are Tampon Talk W Mary. Like us on Facebook. We are there for you. But yeah, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next time on Tampon Talk with Mary. Bye.